Hello and welcome back to the Football Snapshot. I'm Lewis Nolan, and it's very sad news as a Liverpool fan because Mohamed Salah is leaving Liverpool. And look, in this video, I'm not going to go through his records or his entire career at Liverpool because there's loads of other videos doing that. And honestly, to name his achievements and to list his honors would probably take too long. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about why it's a particularly sad moment for me in particular because I've seen his career from start to finish at Liverpool. I maybe caught one or two great seasons of Steven Gerrard, but I never actually caught, say when what he did in Istanbul. I mean, obviously I've seen it since, but I was never there to witness it. But what Salah did at Liverpool, he's obviously won Liverpool two Premier League titles, FA Cup, Champions League, Carabao Cups, and a couple other things like, UEFA Super Cups. And I've been very grateful for that. But the reason why this moment is particularly sad for me is because I managed to see Liverpool rise from mid-table obscurity into, European champions, Premier League champions, and I was able to see all of that before my dad died. And if you've read my pinned tweet and my pinned article, you would have read that in 2016, my father had a serious illness, and that meant he was bedbound. We had to look after him at home, and honestly, doing that was the greatest individual thing that I've done so far in my life, and I'm always thankful to have that time with him. And when I was watching football with him before his serious illness, Liverpool weren't great. I mean, Dan managed to catch kind of like the early, stages of Jurgen Klopp. He managed to see the Europa League final. He managed to see the Carabao Cup final defeat against Manchester City in the 2015-16 season. And I remember arguing with Darren at the time that, about, Jurgen Klopp or Carlo Ancelotti because those were the two names that were consistently linked with Liverpool. And I think I remember Dad telling me that he's like, "Oh, Jurgen Klopp's not a winner, Carlo Ancelotti is." So, I mean, you can't really argue against Ancelotti's record. But the point is, Jurgen Klopp comes in and, he gives everyone a bit of a boost. But then after the 2015-16 season in the summer, that's when my dad developed a serious illness, and that left him unable to verbally communicate. He was bedbound, like I was saying. He went through the hospital systems, care systems, and we basically fought to have him back at home. And we managed to get him home in November 2017. And like I said, it's the best thing that I've done helping to look after him along with my family. But in that time, it was really nice because obviously before one of the things that we bonded over and one of the things that we always watched out for is football and Liverpool. And, he's a big reason why I do support Liverpool. But what Mohamed Salah did is that before he did die in 2021, I was able to watch Liverpool win a Premier League title, win a Champions League title with my dad. And those are memories that I won't forget. And look, I know that, say, for example, the Premier League title happened during the lockdown in the COVID era. But I have a video saved on my phone of Liverpool lifting the Premier League title. I don't know how long the video is, but it basically captures me with Dar and stuff like that and my family all around just to like, watch on TV. And I still have that video and I have seen it a few times and obviously it's very emotional, but it's something that I look back on and I'll look back on for the rest of my life because, that was like I said, I got to see Liverpool win the Premier League title before my dad passed away and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful that I got to do that because football was a big part of our life before his serious illness, and it was a big part of his life after his serious illness. And football in general, when Liverpool were rebuilding under Jurgen Klopp, and we would watch that in the hospitals, we would watch that in the care system because, it wasn't exactly a nice time. It wasn't always nice environments, and also some of the people that we were with and around, it wasn't always nice. But something that we were able to do, me and my family, is kind of like gather around the TV. We were able to watch the game, watch football, kind of forget about things for a bit, and we watch it together. I mean, he had kind of like a small iPad screen that we put on the side of the bed, and we'd watch the games together because we'd obviously have it on the big television. But in order to make it more accessible to there, we'd have it on the side of his bed because obviously the bed was at home and we'd watch it together. I'd be next to him. I said that he was unable to verbally communicate, so I'd still talk to him, but I'd say what's happening in the match as well. And I'd say that, oh, Salah scored, Salah scored, Salah scored. And in that period where we were caring for him up until his death in 2021, Salah was the best player there. I mean, obviously you'd have Virgil van Dijk, Alisson Becker, Trent Alexander-Arnold, all these players, but obviously it was Salah and he was so exciting, it was so entertaining, and we just watched him score goal after goal. And like I said before, I'll be grateful for that. I'll be grateful for those experiences. And I know it's silly to, say it's sort of silly to say these things because, footballers don't know us, they're just people kicking a ball. But at the same time, when you do watch a game, you sort of forget the things that are bothering you in life, or you certainly maybe not forget them, but you certainly put it to one side and it's just about the football match. And that's what I was able to do with Dad because it wasn't always a nice situation to be in, to know that he was seriously ill, like I said, unable to verbally communicate. But, Salah was a big part of the reason why I was able to forget that and remember how to be happy for periods. And when he did die in October 2021, he actually died on the day where, do you remember Liverpool beat Watford 5-0? And Salah did the repeat of the Man City goal where he dribbled past like five players, and I think it was Ben Foster in goal. And I remember on the day that he'd actually went to hospital before that match, and I was able to then visit him later. Obviously during COVID restrictions and COVID lockdown stuff, but we went in one at a time. And I was able to tell him, oh, look, Liverpool won 5-0. Salah scored an amazing solo goal. And I got to tell him that before he then passed away later that day, which, I'm, I got to tell him that Liverpool won a football game and Salah played a big part in that. But then, as you can imagine, the following week it was very sad because obviously when someone close to you dies, you're naturally going to be grieving. And the following week was very, like, I wouldn't say it was a blur, but it was just nothing happened. There was just, sleeping downstairs, being very sort of, not doing anything, barely eating, things like that. But we all were. So that's a completely normal thing during grief. And then the following weekend, Liverpool played Manchester United at Old Trafford. And you might remember that is the game where Liverpool won 5-0. And Salah scored obviously the hat trick, Diogo Jota scored. And yeah, I mean, I wrote about this as well when I was speaking about Diogo Jota and the impact he's had. Seeing Liverpool beat Man United 5-0, I again I didn't forget about my grief, but I remembered that, oh, I can be happy. Oh, it's not, you know, I don't want to say it's not the end of the world and someone passed away, but life continues and life carries on. But Salah made me happy and Salah made me smile. And again, I'll always be grateful for that because, you know, he took me out of my sadness for a moment. And look, I'm still sad about it, obviously, but Salah was the footballer during that period of my life where, he played a big part in me not always having to be sad. And I'll always be grateful for him for that. And now that he's leaving Liverpool, he's sort of one of the last contingent of, the Jurgen Klopp team that were able to make me happy in that time. I mean, the players that will be left probably at the end of the season will probably only be Joe Gomez, Alisson, and Van Dijk, because obviously Robertson's contract is expiring at the end of the season. Um, so yeah, it's only down to a few. I mean, obviously Konate was there during that period for Klopp as well, but he sort of came after. But yeah, it was a sad time in my life, but Salah made me happy, and that's all you can ask. That's all you can, that's all you want when you're watching football. And he certainly made me forget about some of my life's troubles. So yeah, that's not an analytical video. This isn't a video exploring why he was so good, but it's just me. I wanted to make a video talking about why, again, this is a particularly sad moment for me. And look, until he leaves the club, I'll be supporting him all the way. And even if he leaves to another team in Europe, I'll be following his career because, again, he's given me some of the best times of my life in some of the worst moments. So, yeah, Mohamed Salah is a Liverpool legend. And all I can say is thank you, Mo, and see you in the next one.